The neon lights of the downtown diner flickered in the rainy night, casting shaky shadows across the empty parking lot. Emma wiped down the counter for the third time, her hands raw from the constant scrubbing, and her heart heavy with the fatigue of working double shifts. She had learned long ago that life rarely offered kindness without cost, but she still believed, stubbornly, that the world could be good, even if just for a moment. The bell above the door jingled, sharp and sudden, breaking her quiet rhythm. She glanced up and saw a man slump into the diner, his leather jacket soaked, hair plastered to his forehead. He smelled of smoke and cheap cologne, the kind of aura that made most people tense instinctively. He took a seat at the counter, eyes darting to the corners, sizing the place up like it was territory he had a claim to. Emma forced a polite smile. "Can I get you something to drink?" she asked. Her voice was calm, professional, but underneath, there was a thread of caution. "Coffee. Black," he muttered, his voice rough, edged with a sharpness that hinted at trouble. As she poured, she noticed the tattoos crawling up his arms, images of skulls, knives, and a snarling wolf. He wasn't just dangerous, he was someone who had made sure the world knew it. Yet, there was a flicker in his eyes, a loneliness that betrayed the hardened exterior. Emma returned to the counter with his cup. "Anything else?" he smirked, leaning forward just slightly, the smirk turning unnerving. "Maybe some company," he said. There was an edge to the words, something that made Emma's stomach twist. Before she could respond, he reached out, slowly, deliberately, and grabbed her arm. A surge of panic shot through her. Emma had faced rude customers before, but there was something darker in his touch, a claim, an intrusion. She yanked her arm back, heart hammering. "Don't touch me," she said, firm this time. Her voice had no room for negotiation. The man's smirk faltered. In that instant, the diner door burst open, a gust of cold air sweeping inside with thunderous force. 3 motorcycles roared to a halt outside, tires skidding on the wet asphalt. The engine's growl filled the diner, vibrating through the floor, through her bones. The man's eyes widened. "You," he stammered, realizing he had underestimated the storm about to hit. Leather and chrome thundered into the room. Hell's Angels, every one of them a towering figure with leather jackets and tattoos that told stories of loyalty and ferocity, filled the diner. Their leader, a man named Jack, stepped forward, his presence commanding. Emma could hardly believe it. These weren't just bikers, they were legends, feared and respected in every corner of the city. Emma froze, unsure whether to be terrified or grateful. The man's hand slowly dropped to his side as he took in the sight of them, understanding for the first time that the universe had a way of balancing scales in ways he couldn't control. Jack's voice cut through the tension, low and dangerous. "She's under our protection." His eyes locked on the man. "And you're going to regret this." The stranger's bravado crumbled. He tried to retreat, but the bikers moved with precision, forming a barrier that left no escape. He realized, finally, that some forces in the world were bigger than fear or intimidation, and that kindness could have teeth. Emma, still trembling, tried to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. It's okay. Please, just go." Jack's gaze softened as he looked at her. "She's stronger than she looks," he said, almost to himself. Then he turned back to the man. "You made a choice tonight. But it's not too late to make another." The man's knees shook as he sank into a chair, the realization settling in. All the posturing, all the threats, all the anger he had carried through life, it led him here, to a diner in the rain, faced with consequences he had never imagined. For the next hour, the atmosphere shifted. The bikers didn't leave immediately. Instead, they stood guard, allowing Emma to finish her shift in peace. Conversation flowed between the edges of tension and relief, and Emma found herself laughing softly at one of Jack's dry, ironic jokes. In the middle of fear and uncertainty, there was a moment of humanity, raw, unfiltered, and unafraid. The man watched, silently, absorbing everything. He had spent decades believing the world owed him nothing, that kindness was weakness, that mercy was a joke. But here, in a small diner with a waitress he tried to violate, surrounded by bikers he feared and yet trusted, he saw a different truth. People could be fierce and protective, but they could also be kind. People could choose justice with mercy, power with compassion. When the night ended, Jack and his crew mounted their motorcycles. Emma watched them go, feeling a warmth she hadn't expected, a quiet assurance that the world wasn't as cruel as it seemed. The stranger lingered, unsure what to do next. Emma finally spoke, her voice gentle but steady. "You can leave now," she said. "But remember this night. Remember that people can rise to protect others, and that maybe you can, too." The man nodded, something inside him shifting. He walked out into the rain, alone, but for the first time in years, he felt seen, not feared, not hated, but seen. The weight of his past seemed to lift just slightly. And as the hum of the motorcycles faded into the distance, Emma returned to her counter, wiped it down one last time, and smiled. Some nights, she thought, the world shows you exactly what kind of people exist, those who take advantage, and those who fight for the innocent. And sometimes, just sometimes, the second group wins. Weeks later, the stranger returned, not with threats, but with a small bouquet of wildflowers. Emma took them, surprised. "For you," he said. "For reminding me that people can be good." Emma's eyes glistened. She nodded. "We always have a choice," she said. And in that quiet diner, under the warm glow of the neon lights, the stranger understood a lesson he would carry forever. Kindness can be as powerful as wrath, compassion can protect as fiercely as strength, and a single act of courage can transform even the hardest heart. He had touched the wrong girl, but in doing so, he had discovered angels, not just those who rode motorcycles, but the kind that exist in everyday acts of bravery, love, and humanity. And for him, that realization became salvation. The rain continued to fall outside, soft now, gentle as hope itself. Inside, Emma returned to her work, smiling quietly, knowing she had witnessed something extraordinary. And somewhere in the city, a man who had once been lost in shadows walked a little straighter, carrying a spark of light he never thought he'd find.